Okay, I want to really start by just expressing our utter disgust at what we heard yesterday here in the Chamber from the chairperson of the Climate Committee, Deputy Brian Ledden. He accused us, who expressed concerns about the proliferation of data centres and the impact that these were having on the national grid, of being sensationalist tropes, that we were being populist and didn't know what we were talking about. He was really disgraceful, and if that's the position of the Green Party, well then absolutely shame on you, because all of the evidence points to us being absolutely correct about this. And if he's calling us sensationalist tropes, will he say the same about Crew and EirGrid? And to quote directly from Crew in a statement they made, EirGrid has estimated that the data centre demand will be a key driver for electricity demand in Ireland for the foreseeable future. Information provided by EirGrid shows that data centres are the largest demand driver out of all the demand-connected customer groups. The rate at which data centres are seeking to grow their load is unprecedented in Ireland. Over the last 4 years, EirGrid have seen annual increases in demand usage of around 600 gigawatts from data centres alone, equivalent to the addition of 140,000 households to the power system each year. Contrast starkly to the demand growth from other sectors outside of the data industry. I could go on, but these are public available statements from EirGrid and from Crew. And I noticed from information there in the Irish Times and other publications that since May there is a de facto moratorium on data centres. But we have a problem, because there are existing agreements with data centres to connect them to the national grid. EirGrid, again to quote, EirGrid has outlined that connection agreements are already in place for over 1,800 megawatts for data centres. Ireland has a current peak demand for all power of 5,500 megawatts. So we are absolutely seeing the unprecedented growth in the demand from data centres, and to demand a moratorium on this built into the legislation is nothing but pure sense. And it was absolute nonsense what was spoken to us here last night by the Minister, and I hope you don't repeat it today. In fact, he lied, because he said that no connections, no permissions have been given in the last 2 years. Or I should say he misled the public by saying no permissions were given in the last 2 years. That is not the point. The point is that there are connection agreements already to the amount I've just quoted that have to go on the EirGrid, because the agreements are made. They have to go on the national grid. Now, are you trying to tell us that data centres are not going to soak up the majority of this extra power that is being bought in? And if that's not the case, can you show us what is going to soak it up? Because no excuse about the war in Ukraine or energy crisis or anything else will wash away what's actually happening here. And I want to really push this amendment very, very strongly, that we place a moratorium on connections to the national grid by high energy users such as data centres, and start looking after people and their needs. Because if there's a threat to the power in 23-24, in the winter of 23-24, it is not because of householders or schools or hospitals or even other aspects of industry. It is purely down to this crazy, insane proliferation of these high guzzling energy consumers, and you've done nothing about it. And I think this needs to be really addressed in this bill.